How much faster can sim racing make you in real life? To find out, let's see whether I can learn how to drive a track on a sim and translate what I've learned into some form of skill at a track day.
Okay, that was a lap.
To do this, we'll be practicing on the sim before heading to the Sepang International Circuit to conduct a little experiment. But before that, this is my 2015 BMW M135i, which we'll be taking to the track. It's got little in the form of modifications other than a set of coilovers, a limited slip differential, and my AliExpress strut bar. As this is my daily driver, I don't run any hyper-performance tires. Instead, the Goodyear Eagle F1 Asymmetric 5 tires will have to do. Well, that was a mouthful. Now, I wanted to practice on the sim with a car that will replicate my M135 as closely as possible. However, the M135 isn't in the original Assetto Corsa game, and while there are mods available, I'm just not sure how realistic the physics of those mods would be. In the end, I settled for the closest original Kunos car, which is this BMW 1M. With similar power outputs from the engines and weighing pretty much about the same, this should be a good enough benchmark. And of course, being Assetto Corsa, it was easy to find a mod for the Sepang International Circuit. On my first laps, I was getting a feel for the braking points as well as the speeds that I could carry going into the corners. After a good number of laps, I was feeling confident in the car and could really push for a decent enough lap time. However, as I was going to go for the track day in my daily driver, I knew I just wasn't going to go balls to the wall for an outright fastest lap time. With that in mind, I set about to do a more realistic time instead of just driving it like I stole it. With all that practice done, it was now time to head to the actual racetrack.
Freedom, freedom, freedom over fame. Freedom over cycle stays the same.
So this is the first warm-up lap in the M135. First time at Sepang.
Immediately once I got on track, I could already tell that the practice on the sim was a great help. The track just felt so familiar even though I was so new to it. And being familiar meant that I could enjoy myself a hell lot more instead of worrying about things like which way the track went and where I'm supposed to start braking. However, practicing on the sim doesn't give you any sense of danger, and crashing on the sim definitely isn't going to ruin your day.
Don't try so hard, Gerald. Don't try so hard.
This sense of danger is something I found out quickly in turn 3, which can be taken flat out in the sim. But doing that in real life, well, that took a bit of a leap of faith. Another thing that doesn't happen in the sim is brake fade.
Brake pedal is feeling long.
Around the track in the hardest braking corners, my brake travel would be maybe 50% more than usual in order to generate the same amount of braking force. A set of aftermarket brake pads would probably solve that, but yeah, well, maybe for the next track day. Overall, I had a fantastic time, but the most important question is whether the practice on the sim had actually helped. To put it simply, it can be intimidating heading to your very first track day. But the practice on the sim just gave me a confidence that a noob just shouldn't be allowed to have. On top of that, the sim had developed my muscle memory where steering and braking at the right points just felt second nature. While there were no G-forces in the sim, I didn't find that much of an issue with seats that have decent side bolsters to keep me from sliding around too much. So now we know that the sim has indeed made me a better driver at the track, but I wanted to quantify it into something tangible. Something like how many seconds per lap was I faster because of the sim? Well, as luck would have it, I went to the track day with a friend who owns a BMW 1M, which is pretty much stock. We've done many B-road drives together before, and I would say that our driving abilities are pretty much even. However, he didn't have the benefit of any sim practice. And since both of our cars' performance are on a similar level, you just know I had to compare our lap times. To put things into perspective, the fastest lap time at that track day was a 2 minute 25 second time set by a crazy guy in an Alpine A110. My lap time of 2 minutes and 50 seconds was far from that, but good enough to be 7 seconds ahead of the 1M. Now, I'm not saying that sim racing is gonna make you into a racing driver overnight, but I think it's proven that it can certainly help you improve your skills and get a hell lot more of your track day session in real life. In fact, I've narrowed it down to a few reasons why sim racing is essential if you're planning on attending any track days. Firstly, it allows you to practice in a safe environment without having to worry about crashing or ruining your car. Secondly, sim racing allows you to experiment with different driving techniques, where you can try different lines and braking points to find out which works better for you. Thirdly, and most probably the most important one, sim racing builds up your muscle memory. Basically, the more you practice, the better you'll become. And it's a hell lot easier and cheaper to practice on the sim than to hit your local track. In conclusion, I have to say I was impressed by how accurate Assetto Corsa was in replicating the car and the circuit in real life. Remember earlier when I said I did a representative lap in the sim, driving it like how I think I would drive my actual car on the track? Well, it turns out that the lap time for my safe and conservative lap in Assetto Corsa was exactly the same as my best lap time on the track day. So if you're thinking about heading to a track day, I highly recommend getting some seat time in the sim to practice beforehand. The modding community for Assetto Corsa is very vibrant, and I'm sure you'll find your local track and a suitable car to practice with. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna start shopping for aftermarket brake pads now. I'll see you guys at the next video.